So hello folks, I hope everybody's enjoying the rest of their summer. I know it's been about a month since I've done a video, but I've just been busy working 6 days a week, and I just haven't had a lot of time for it. So this is just going to be a general update about some events going on in the world. So let's dive into it. I'm going to ring off about 5 points all to do with weather and climate here, then I'll say some thoughts after I'm done talking about each one of them. So to begin, an extreme drought has seen taps run dry across Mexico, with nearly two-thirds of all municipalities facing a water shortage that is forcing people in some places to line up for hours for government water deliveries. Irate residents are blocking highways and are kidnapping municipal workers to demand more supply. Yikes. Dutch government declares water shortages. Drinking water supplies are not threatened, but however, this could change in the coming weeks as the situation worsens. Wildfires in Europe burned to the second largest area on record. 515,475 hectares have burned. In France, nuclear power plants have been forced to cut their outputs because of the concern of the rivers getting too warm. This can have an adverse impact on the ecosystem. Last but not least for this, the Rhine River in Europe is drying up, and it's being said it could become the Achilles heel of European energy, Deutsche Bank warns. So, I mean, all these points I'm making here, folks, about the weather and the climate is just absolutely crazy. Like, you have Mexico there, here in North America, and then Europe, just the temperatures are crazy. And I actually seen pictures of the Rhine River where it's like literally parts of it are all dried up, and like it's almost like boats are like stuck in sand and everything. It's just the craziest shit I've ever seen with weather. So, like, my advice here, folks, is, have extra water on hand, or, some kind of extra water supply that you can rely on. Put some extra food in the freezer once again. Store some extra food. Learn how to preserve and grow your own food, because you're not going to regret it here. I mean, this weather and climate stuff that's going on right now is just really out of this world. And I mean, thankfully, where I am in Canada here, it's not as bad as Europe and other places such as Mexico or in the Western United States. But still, like, this stuff is going to have a huge economic impact eventually. It's going to worsen, food shortages potentially and everything down the road, especially when the crop gets harvested in the fall. We're going to see the impacts that not only like the Ukraine-Russian war and that kind of stuff is having, but with the weather as well. The Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant situation is said to be out of control, according to the International Atomic Energy Agency, and that there's going to be a nuclear incident at some point. I mean, I'm pretty sure this is Ukraine, Russia now I'm talking about, that the Russians basically have this power plant under control. Or I think what it is Ukraine still might have it, but I mean, it's going to be hard to like really take that, because you can't really blow it up. Like, you need to keep it intact or whatever. So, if that were to blow up, the nuclear fallout and radiation from it would be very, very bad. And people in Ukraine would be wishing that they had iodine tablets or pills or whatever that protects against, the radiation, because eventually years later, if you're exposed to it, you could get like really bad thyroid cancer and stuff. So that's a very sticky situation there. China is blockading around Taiwan with warships, aircraft, etc. Also, China has fired missiles over Taiwan for the first time ever. Drones have been flown into Taiwanese airspace as well. Chinese troops are reported to have been participating now in the Donbass in Ukraine. And Chinese military equipment is being moved to the region as well. Japan's foreign ministry has said as well that China has fired 5 missiles into their economic zone. So this is just crazy. I've said it before, after studying the Chinese in universities, that they're looking to take over. Xi Jinping is a brutal dictator. And for the longest time, China just wanted to be the strongest power in Asia, but now they want to be the dominant superpower in the entire world. They're looking to take over with things like their Belt and Road Initiative, which basically they want to control every sea route and land route of trade in the entire world. They're colonizing parts of Africa right now, like low key, especially Eastern Africa, which a lot of people don't realize. And then getting back to them, apparently now they have troops in Ukraine, is it's as simple as this. The Chinese are using this as a training ground for their military in modern warfare. They're using Ukraine in this Ukraine-Russian war, yes, as a training ground for their troops. And they're also trying to see how good U.S. and Western, military equipment is. So it's a training ground and espionage kind of thing for them as well to gain intelligence. Coordinations between the U.S. and China are being canceled, which include U.S. theater commanders, policy coordination, military, maritime consultative meetings, stuff like that. So it just really goes to show you that this is serious and relations are really thinning fast here. Russian media claims that North Korea is willing to send 100,000 troops to help the Russians fight in Ukraine. So, I mean, if it's any country that's willing to, sacrifice 100,000 people really for a war that isn't even theirs, it's going to be the North Koreans. And if they do this, North Koreans, it just shows their alliance with Russia. And I mean, same with China being now in the Donbass area as well. It just reassures us of China and North Korea's alliance to Russia. And basically, this is part of the new Axis powers as well. But North Korea might use this as a training ground for their troops as well. We'll see if that actually happens, though. Russia has suspended U.S. inspections of nuclear sites. This is temporary and is a retaliation to U.S. sanctions. So, yet again, just things brewing up between the U.S. and the West and, these new Axis powers, just not good. This is just kind of random news. 4-day exercise with NATO allies in the Czech Republic happened recently, and I guess it was basically to basically practice, like, if there was nuclear fallout or whatever, and how quickly they could set up, like, a site to treat people or whatever. And I guess, like, the quickest time so far was something like 12 minutes. That's what a lot of the training had to do with going on in Czech Republic, from what I believe. And last but not least, this is on the contagion front, and this was announced today. The Langya virus discovered in China. No one has died yet, but said to have a 40 to 75% fatality rate, according to who other than the World Health Organization, those crooked bastards. Like, who knows? There could be a virus that comes along one day that can actually wipe out a lot of people, like that will be a real pandemic. But at this point, like, who can really trust the World Health Organization? It's the two other viruses, if you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to say it on here. And then now this, it's just like, when does this bullshit end? It's just, it's really a way of controlling us. Until I see people dropping like flies, and I'll believe that, contagion is a real problem. But that's about it, folks. This is just a brief update. Just lots going on here in the world, of course. And overall, just I think the main thing about this video that I find, the most interesting out of all these points is, yes, I personally think that China is going to make a move at some point. I mean, they have a huge debt problem, and they're a paper tiger to a large degree. And they have a lot of civil unrest going on. Like, I seen the tanks rolling in, like, at banks or whatever. But right now, they are actually transporting a tremendous amount of tanks to the coast of Taiwan, and they are preparing for some kind of invasion. I don't think that they're going to do it in the next like few weeks or the next month or maybe the next half a year, but at some point going into next year, or some point next year, I think that they will make a move. I mean, they kind of have to, at some point as well. And I mean, every economy in the world's in a lot of trouble. I mean, sure, the U.S. with inflation is different than China with their debt. I mean, even though the U.S. has a lot of debt as well, but every country's in a lot of trouble, and a lot of governments are going to be looking for scapegoats, and will go into a world war to, scapegoat civil unrest as much as they can. And have a good day, folks.